Hi everybody! I've been asked to do a video explaining how to go about learning some different site swaps in the Mills mess pattern. I'm going to demonstrate a few different patterns in this video, however it will be more specifically a tutorial on the 5-3-4 in Mills mess. So here's what that would look like. 5-3-4 in Mills mess. Now there's a few different ways to do 5-3-4 in Mills mess. I prefer to do it with the 5 always being the under the wrist throw. I think it's easier that way, therefore that is the method I will be teaching in this video. Okay, obviously before you try to learn the 5-3-4 Mills mess, you should know how to do 5-3-4, and you should be fairly comfortable with the 4-ball Mills mess. Now, you don't have to have this totally solid before you try the 5-3-4 version, but you should be able to get maybe 30 or 40 catches, within a few tries, without too much trouble. Now, if you are not already familiar with these patterns, there's plenty of good tutorials available. I'll put some links over in the video description box, but I'll try to tell you quickly how I went about learning the 4-ball Mills mess. I basically took the concept that you can do a reverse cascade with 3 balls and go right into Mills mess. And I applied that to 4 balls. So I didn't get hung up on the fact that, oh wait, in 4-ball Mills mess they don't change hands. I just did the reverse fountain, got this totally solid, and then just go right into Mills mess. And even though the balls aren't changing hands, where they do change hands in the 3-ball or 5-ball Mills mess, I didn't really get hung up on that because it feels the exact same. It's just a basic pattern in Mills mess. So I didn't have very much success with that at first, trying to just do this and go straight into Mills mess. But eventually I was able to do it, and that's how I learned it. If you need more of a step-by-step method, then check the links in the box over there. Another pattern that I think is helpful before you try to learn the 5-3-4 Mills mess is the 5-2-2 mess, or the Mike's mess. Now, the reason I think you should be totally solid with this pattern is because you throw an under the arm 5 and do an exchange and alternate sides. So that maneuver is kind of similar to what happens in the 5-3-4 Mills mess. I think there's a really good tutorial for that too. Just read the damn description box already. Alright, next I recommend that you should learn the 5-3-1 Mills mess with 3 balls. So that would look like this. And remember, there's different ways to do this, but for the purposes of this tutorial, I'm going to teach the method with the 5 as the under the wrist throw. So it should be pretty self-explanatory. There's a better step-by-step tutorial for this specific trick in the box thing over there. So now what you're going to want to do is, from Mills mess, throw a 5 as an under the wrist throw. And now after you do that, you do a 3-1 as you're uncrossing your arms. So that would look like this. Now when I first tried to learn that, I had a lot of trouble, because what would happen is I would throw the 5 and then I'd kind of just get lost about what happens underneath it. So a good 2-ball exercise to practice is just practice the 3-1 part. In Mills mess. So the red ball is going to be the end ball, which is just going to go back and forth always in the top hand, like this. And then you'll make the 1 right as you're uncrossing your arms. Alright, and that's going to look like this. So if you're having trouble learning the 5-3-1 Mills mess, practice that a lot, and hopefully that should help. Now you are finally ready to learn the 5-3-4 Mills mess. If your Mills mess is pretty solid and you already can do the 5-3-4, one way to go about learning this is to just do the Mills mess and then throw 1 round of 5-3-4 and go back to the regular Mills mess, and then learn to do that on both sides, and then eventually just try to run 5-3-4 in Mills mess continuously. However, that might not be the easiest approach. I'll show you how I learned it. I first learned how to start Mills mess from this position, and the first throw is going to be from your bottom hand. So that would look like this. Alright, so learn how to do that on both sides. Okay, and then try just throwing a 5 and a 3 and then stopping. So the 5 is thrown under the wrist and gets caught under the other wrist. So it's going to look like that. Alright, and then the 3 is this throw from the top hand and then to the other top hand. So just throwing a 5-3 and then stopping would look like that. So practice that a lot just to get used to throwing a 5-3 in a Mills mess type pattern. And of course, practice that on both sides. Now try starting like that, throw a 5-3 and then just go right into regular Mills mess. So that would look like that. Alright. Whoops. Okay, and of course learn to do that from the other side. One more time, slow motion. After you have spent a lot of time practicing all the previous exercises that I've showed you, by this point you should be able to do the Mills mess and then just throw one round, 5-3, and go back to the pattern. And you should be able to do that on either side. Once you can do that, the next step is to just connect it so that you're doing 5-3-4 continuously. Now, how you could go about learning that is start from a cold start and just try 2 rounds and stop, or you could try 2 rounds and then go back to the regular pattern. Once you get really comfortable with that, you can try just running it for 4 rounds or for as long as you can. Another method to try this is to go from the standard 4-ball Mills mess and try 5-3-4, 5-3-4, and then back to the pattern. And then slowly add more rounds until you can do it continuously. The email I got asking for this 5-3-4 Mills mess tutorial, the person also asked if I could give some pointers on how to do 7-5-3-1 in Mills mess. Now, I've never seen anyone run 7-5-3-1 continuously in Mills mess. Usually you just see people do 1 round of 7-5-3-1 and then back into regular Mills mess. Any period 4 site swap, I imagine, should be possible to do it continuously in Mills mess. However, it would be very difficult. So yeah, I don't know about that. But I'm going to try to give you some pointers that might help you be able to successfully do 1 round of 7-5-3-1 in a Mills mess. Now, I think it's easiest if you do the 7 as the under the wrist throw. So after you make the 7 as the under the wrist throw, the 5 is going to come from the top hand over here. So one good pattern with 3 balls that might help you get better at doing the 5-3-1 in Mills mess underneath the 7 is doing the 5-3-1 Mills mess, but instead of this method that I showed you earlier, throwing the 5 as the under the wrist throw, you're going to throw the 5 as the top hand throw, because that's how it's going to happen in the 7-5-3-1 Mills mess. So get the Mills mess going, and then throw the 5-3-1 like that. And it kind of feels like you're doing 1 round of high-low shower from a Mills mess. So one good thing to practice would be to get very comfortable doing the Mills mess in and out of a shower and back to Mills mess. And then eventually that might better prepare you for learning this version of the 5-3-1 Mills mess. Actually, what I'm doing right here is 5-3-1-3-3 in Mills mess. As always, I hope you found this video entertaining and useful. And until next time, happy juggling. Yeah.